life keeps evolving. So healing has to evolve. New seasons bring new challenges, new fears, new triggers, and you've got to figure out how to navigate those. Hey there, welcome back to the Humaning Well podcast. My name is Amber Cabral, and thank you so much for tuning in today. So I've been thinking a lot lately about healing. I feel like the internet is ablaze with it. I feel like a lot of my friends are talking about it. And of course, my feed on Instagram feeds me everyone's healing musings. Plus, I think that the Humaning Well podcast, like just even the name of it, it connects to well-being, which of course has a natural dovetail into quote unquote healing. And I do think I talk about healing stuff here. But what I wanted to do with this episode is honestly let a lot of us off the hook a little bit. I think that we say healed or I'm healed, or we take healing as something that has a finish line, like any of us have actually made it, candidly. And, it just doesn't really work that way. It's not like one day you're going to wake up and, none of the hurtful words that are said to you, will sting. None of the tough memories are going to hurt. And suddenly every lesson you've ever had up to that point is going to make sense. It just doesn't work that way. And what I've learned on my own journey of healing is that there just really is no such thing as fully healed. Life is just far too vast. We have so many experiences. There are so many nuances to those, and we just evolve too much. We change constantly. And so to me, this healed thing is really a practice. So you might be healed in one way or even be healed for a time, but life keeps evolving. So healing has to evolve. New seasons bring new challenges, new fears, new triggers, and you've got to figure out how to navigate those. So sometimes the very thing that you feel like maybe you had peace about, it's going to resurface, and it's going to resurface a little differently, or it's going to resurface in a way that you didn't expect. And it's not that you failed or that you didn't, quote unquote, heal from it. It's just that you've changed. And so now you're seeing things that have happened in your life in a different way. And I think that that's okay. Like, I don't think that it makes you a bad person, but I think we can get in trouble when we think of ourselves as healed people, and then something happens to remind us that we're still on the journey. If I think about this concept of being healed, I think the closest I've ever felt to healed is really just feeling like I knew how to consistently access my personal peace and have consistent access to joy. And I mean, like, when things are tough, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I'm really trying to navigate a lot of change, I know how to get to, okay, here's how I get to peace. Here's how I get to joy. Not like waiting on life to be perfect before I allow myself to feel good, knowing that life is going to be bumpy and knowing how to get to what I need so that I can like survive and thrive through it. That to me is the closest I feel like I've ever gotten to healed. And let's be clear, still not healed. Okay, still not healed. Still very much healing, still having a lot of life remind me that I am still healing. Okay. I do navigate some things that I've seen before really well, but life is still happening. So I'm still running into stuff that I'm like, oh, okay, this is a new interesting thing to have to navigate, right? I think part of why we try to give healing a nice, end point or a sense of completion is because if you think about the way that we live life, just even as humans, we really sell each other the idea of being done with something. We graduate, we progress, we move on, we conquer things, whether it's education, whether it's job titles. We are in a state of, I did that. I did the TED Talk, I wrote the books, and those are things that feel very complete. We also really love a good before and after story. So it's like a story that kind of goes, oh, I was so hurt, and then I worked on myself and I healed, and then I transformed, and now I have moved on. And in reality, we kind of evolve. Like it feels more circular. It feels more like, ooh, I got this lesson. Ooh, I understand it. Ooh, it was tough. Here's what I did to navigate it. And then it comes back around again and maybe we do it a little bit better. That to me feels a little bit more like what life is like. And not just my life, but like, we always hear how history repeats itself. And it's like, yeah, we do the same things over and over and over and over. So like, There is no completion when we think about healed. And also just healing, just like life, can't really be a straight line. It's, a set of tools. It's access to those tools that help us navigate the ways that serve us best. And so you'll come back to the same things, but, from a different angle or from a higher place or with more awareness or with more tools or even with more compassion. And ideally, a person who is on, point and being responsible about their healing, each time you revisit the wound, you get to practice a little bit. And maybe you even practice something a little different. Maybe one time it's patience. Maybe another time it's forgiveness. Maybe another time it's boundaries. Maybe another time you're just like, I'm just going to take a break. Maybe it's authenticity. It can be a number of different things as we go through life and re-encounter things. In my case, I am learning how I can be healed in one part of my life. In my case, it's my professional relationships and my friendships. Like I have all the authenticity, comfort, confidence, and all of that in the world, but I'm still navigating a bit of like disconnection or lack of vulnerability or open woundness in my romantic life. And it's shown up in some interesting ways that, if this were hanging out with a friend, my confidence would be one way, but because I'm in a bit more of an intimate situation, I have some reservations. That is something I am trying to heal. So I think it's really important that we stop seeing healing as like a let me fix what is broken and more like an invitation to face and navigate whatever it is that hurts or whatever traumas we encounter or whatever challenges we uncover as we kind of just journey through life. To me, it's about learning to tend to yourself when things break or break again, because factually life is just going to keep lifing. Another thing that I see online is this, epiphany trap. It drives me up a wall. It really does. There are a lot of folks that to me are addicted to the awareness phase of healing. So it's that moment when you read a post or you hear a podcast or you're coming across something that's online, or you could even be talking to like a friend or a therapist and you go, oh my God, that's me. That explains so much. This is it. I do exactly that. That's what it is. That's why. But all that really is just like an explanation. It's not really telling you what to do. It's not helping you heal the wound. If anything, it's just calling your attention to it. And I want to be really clear. That's a very powerful moment. I too love when that happens. But I also know that awareness is just the first step of healing. That's just the noticing. And noticing is hard, right? Seeing yourself is hard. Other people, if you think about how you experience them, there are probably lots of folks in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, I wish they could just see themselves. But you also can't just like keep collecting epiphanies. Like, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh, I do that. Oh, the reason I do that is that. That's exactly how I think. Like they're like souvenirs. It's not actual growth. And you can candidly know something about yourself all day long. You can know that this is why you do something all day long, but still not actually do anything about it. And candidly, healing is labor, all right? And so the healing doesn't happen the moment you recognize the pattern or the thing that's familiar. I mean, that part feels good because you now know it's not just you and you're not alone. The healing happens when you decide you're going to interrupt the pattern. When you practice being, doing, believing, seeing, all of those things differently. Healing only happens in continuous practice. There is no healed. It is not over until you're over. And I do mean continuous. Like, trust me, I was the girl who would like go throw some Reiki or some acupuncture on my week and feel like I was practiced and healed and doing the things that I needed to do. And candidly, it's just checking the box. It's what I now call doing the mindfulness instead of being mindful. Humaning well is in the daily choosing. It's the intentional returning to. It's the practice of beginner's mind where you are willing to do things that you do all the time with a fresh perspective and a newness, even if it's usually routine, just so you get a chance to observe what you might feel that's different. It is the idea of non-striving at a point where you really know you don't have it and you shouldn't push yourself being okay with not reaching for the moon because things will be fine. The practice of being able to do that, that's where the healing is. It's the practice of trusting your own feelings again and evaluating them and assessing how you really feel, even when that might scare you. It's giving time and intention, not just awareness, to what's really hurting you. It's the practice of applying what you've learned, not overdosing on the epiphanies of it. And because you can't just think your way into peace or joy or health, you have to practice your way there. I have to actively try to meditate. I have to actively practice not judging myself. I have to be attentive when I am literally laying in acupuncture and saying, I'm just going to go to acupuncture, and I end up just taking a nap, but I'm not actually thinking about what I want to heal in my body. I'm not conscious of what is different when I leave. I have to actively do those things. It's called a practice for a reason. You are rehearsing indefinitely to sustain your well-being. You are adjusting indefinitely to sustain your well-being. We are, none of us, healed as if it's over. Parts of ourselves are healed for a time. Parts of our lives are healed for a time. We are on an enduring journey of healing. And so as I've deepened my own practice, I've realized that for me, especially, healing comes in I guess you could say waves or maybe even layers. There are times where I really felt like I was good and that I was, in a moment where I understood myself better than most. And that may have been very true. But then I would hit new experiences that showed me where I still needed to grow. And, first it felt like I healed enough to where I was like, ooh, I understand me. I know me. I get me. And then I had to heal a little more so that I could better connect with other people. Oh, I get me and I get you. I get me and I understand where you are. I get me and I can hear the differences between us and be okay with that. And now I feel like I'm learning to heal in a way that strengthens my intimacy with myself and with others. And honestly, this has kind of been the hardest, because you have to see yourself in some of the most candid positions, but it's also been the most rewarding journey of healing that I've taken so far. And I know this isn't the last layer, because as I grow and as I evolve, I'm going to need to revisit and reestablish and reconsider, what does it look like for me to have access to peace and joy, and mindfulness and well-being all over again, because my boundaries are shifting, the way I manage my energy is shifting, and all of that is okay, because healing offers you the tools and the practices so that they can evolve with you. But you have to use them and you have to do them, and you have to accept, even when you think you're healed, something's going to come up and remind you that you still got a little more to do. Okay. So to close this episode, I wanted to give you a few reflection questions to consider instead of just, scrolling Instagram for the next epiphany. I'm sure at this point you've probably collected enough of those and can go revisit them when you want a dopamine hit. But I want you to consider the following questions as you contemplate what true healing might look like in your life. Okay. So the first question is, what's something I thought I'd already healed from that might need a little more of my attention right now? Second, what does healing in practice look like for me in this moment? Not in theory, but in action. Number 3, what's something I've understood about myself that I actually that I haven't actually practiced healing through yet? What's something that I've understood about myself that I haven't actually practiced healing through yet? And number 4, what part of me have I labeled as healed that might just not be centered right now? Or I might not be paying attention to it. Maybe I think I'm saying, let's not label the whole system as healed. Maybe we're just healed in pockets, right? And for a time. And so while there is no healed, and healing is a wonderful and expansive journey, it can absolutely also be one of the most exciting parts of your life. And for me, that looks like knowing how to find peace over and over again when things get loud. It's knowing how to come home to myself over and over again and understanding that I will continue to do that. And something that I'm deeply enjoying in this season is that uncovering the revisiting of, oh my gosh, I used to love this and I stopped doing it. And now it is a source of recovery for me, right? Even though my life feels really strange, there are things I get to come home to right now. I'm deep in oh my gosh, I used to love to write and the words are coming back and I am loving that. And it's very healing for me. So short episode this week. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next week.